We're going to start very, very basic. This is going to be on doing rounds, the importance of doing rounds, the importance of shift changing, the reporting that has to go on between, and that. I was looking over some material when I was thinking about doing this training, and I saw the our values and our mission statement in our policy and procedure manual as a company. And I wanted to read over them because I think they're pertinent to the basic role of just observing the patients and doing the checks. So I'm going to read over this to start off with. White Sands Treatment Center, our mission statement is commitment to excellence in the care and treatment of our clients. Our vision is White Sands Treatment Center's vision is to provide the finest quality of care, the highest degree of integrity to the broadest spectrum of consumers. And I'm going to go over some of our values. The first one is customer orientation. We believe the customer must be our primary focus, or the patient, because the patients are our customers. Their needs and involvement shape our attitudes and guide our activities. Ethics. We believe in conducting ourselves with integrity and professionalism, ensuring public trust. Quality. We believe that the quality of our services should exceed the expectation of our customers. Leadership. We believe in providing innovative leadership that advances the quality of White Sands Treatment Center. Change and innovation. We believe in facilitating change and innovation that improves and enhances our services. Work environment. We believe in a safe and productive workplace that is challenging, rewarding, and enjoyable, where every employee is part of the team, where trust, respect, creativity, and open communication prevails. That last sentence really struck home with me with this training of doing rounds, and we believe in a safe and productive workplace. As you've probably heard before, our patient safety is our number one priority at all times. It supersedes anything we are doing at any point in our shift. I know things may get hectic. We may have airport runs and doctor visits and all this. Patient safety is always the primary focus on the job of a BHT. With that being said, when we come onto shift, we will see something that looks familiar to us, a round sheet. And this is just an example of one here. And it should be filled out accurately. It is to be filled out on every 30-minute check on every single person, no matter what. If they're on Q15s, that is to be your utmost responsibility if you are in that zone. If at any point you get, you may get behind or something like that, you should never be more than 30 minutes behind. And if you are, inform your shift lead, and the shift leads will inform or help you find those certain patients to make observation and contact with them. Realistically, when you're doing zones, when you're working in a zone, you don't need to talk to every single patient every 30 minutes, but you need to observe that, where they are first and foremost, and that's what you're going to document. Observe, are they agitated, and keep little mental notes of that. And maybe you have a piece of paper on the side to write little notes of that. Are they struggling medically? Are they, happy? Are they going to groups? Stuff like that, because we're going to pass on all that information to the shift leads to put in the shift report. But, if someone is acting weird, that's when we go up to them and say, hey, what's going on? How are you? Building that rapport. But we need to put eyes on them every single 30 minutes. That is the basis of the job. If that's not being done, we leave ourselves open to a lot of different areas of, I don't want to say neglect, but not getting the needs of the patients done, because they may be going through something. They may be medically not feeling right and may need to go to the hospital, but can't, express it to you. So if we're not checking in on them, we don't know these things. One of our biggest jobs is to enforce the rules. And if we are not doing our 30-minute checks, how are we going to enforce the rules on every single patient? It's the most basic, but most important thing that a tech does. I pulled some policy and procedures, and number 1, semicolon 15 is observation of patients. In this policy and procedure, it says our policy, it is the policy of White Sands Treatment Center to ensure patient safety and accountability by conducting daily 30-minute observation checks on each patient while in treatment, unless otherwise indicated for more frequent observation, which an example would be a Q15. This is our policy. So, our procedure, it's straightforward. We are going to do those 30-minute checks. If a patient who is observed every 30 minutes is not able to be located on the premises of White Sands Treatment Center, the BHT assigned to complete the observation for that period will notify his director immediately. The behavioral health technician director will notify, and an incident form will be completed. Most times they're at a doctor's appointment or with their therapist or stuff like that. The incident report is if they actually left premise and maybe came back or something like that. But we need to do our best at finding out where these patients are at all times. And our presence of showing that we're in the community and they are seeing us every single 30 minutes may deter them from doing something that, that their addiction may be leading them to do, that they may make a bad decision due to, circumstances, not be able to think of a better way to express themselves or to do something. Really, those 30-minute checks are so important. Have it be that it's a policy. If we see that you are not doing your 30-minute checks and you are assigned to that zone, there will be disciplinary action. And I don't mean that to be in a threatening nature, but we will investigate through the shift lead and through you why those checks aren't being done, and the appropriate measures will be taken, because anything can happen. If we miss seeing a patient for an hour, if anything happens in that time frame, we're responsible for that. And as employees of this company, we need to do our job. And our job is to do those 30-minute checks. And I don't mean to come off harsh, this is just educational. And, trust me, I've been in zones. I was a zone worker in tech for years. And I know sometimes it can get busy, but first and foremost, our checks are getting done. With that being said, a question I've been asked recently was, Mike, a patient comes in from the airport. They just came in and got admitted. When do we put them on our zone sheet? Now, for shift leads, I'd like you to add everybody who's incoming on that shift on the zone sheets of what bedroom they're going into, with a little pending next to them. As soon as they get on property, the tech that brought them in is to inform the techs over the radio communication, Joe is here. He has been on property. That is the time that we are to start our rounds. Now, for the first hour or so, they'll probably be with admissions, and you just write admissions or cafeteria, common area, wherever they're doing that. For the next hour, they're probably going to be with nursing. We're to make sure that they are with them at all times. So we're going to write nursing station. And right from there, right when they're done with nursing, we are to show them their room and really get them acclimated with the program. But we're doing checks the second they step foot on our property. We're not doing checks when, once they get out of nursing or whatnot. The second they step foot on property, they are the responsibility of the BHT to do observation on them. The next thing I thought would be beneficial to go over is shift change report, which is also in our policy and procedures, which is number 5, BHT 1:005. Purpose. The purpose of this policy is to ensure that every shift communicates a shift change report of significant events occurring on each shift. Policy. It is the policy of the White Sands Treatment Center to assure the BHTs will communicate and hand off a report of significant events occurring on each shift. This report will be completed by the end of each shift and used by the BHTs to pass on patient information to the next shift. Our procedure. During the shift change, significant information events will be passed on to the BHT lead onto the next shift. The information required in the report includes, but is not limited to, a brief description of the patient's status. And that's going to be the patients that are have some adversity, that are going through things, some of the problems, some of the stuff. We're not going to be able to go through all 115 patients, but maybe the patients that have moved and the patients that are going through something, struggling. List of identified safety issues and any unusual events or incidents occurring on the shift for the patients, any upcoming issues or events to take place on the shift, any special patient needs, such as people wanting to go AMA, Q15, stuff like that. Transportation to patients. Say they're going to the doctor at 4 p.m. The shift lead is to tell the staff that. It's coming on at 3 p.m. about that, or discharges or admins. Assigning of zones, BHT staff performance, and schedule changing / staff issues. Those are all things that should be talked about in shift change report. And I brought this into this training that is going to be done for, doing rounds, because if the person who was in the zone before sees you're grabbing that zone board, please tell them, hey, this person is with their therapist. This person's there. We need communication among the techs to help each other out. This person's going through a lot, if it wasn't covered by the shift lead, they're having a tough time. And really, our communication between one another on shift change can help us do a better job at observing the patients in our 30-minute checks. Going back on doing your 30-minute checks, you all have radios for a reason, and there is to be no time that you are on the floor without a working radio. If your radio is about to die or something, check in on it every 10 minutes. If you haven't heard anybody talk over the radio, check if your radio is dead. Go get a new one. Our radio communication is one of our biggest tools to be accounting for the patients, to make sure that everything is running smoothly, and to help each other. As a shift, you guys are a team. And a lot of times what will happen is I'm in zone 1 and I cannot find a patient. Say that their therapist's office is in zone 4. I may say on the radio, hey, zone 4, do you have eyes on John? I haven't seen him in 25 minutes and I'm about to do my next check. Is he in his therapist's office in your zone? You don't always want to rely on other people to do your checks, but if you need help or you can't find somebody, that radio is a tool to be used so you can work together with your other staff members. What I say is you need to be in your zone for most of the time, but there are going to be times when they're in dinner, when they're in lunch, stuff like that, where we walk out of our zone. Please make it back to your zone within 5 minutes. If I have to walk to check out the groups, 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to walk to check out the groups and make it back to my zone. If I walk out and don't find the patient I'm looking for, I walk back to my zone, they're still not there. That's when I would use the radio communication for everybody to check for that person. I know it can get a lot with so many patients, but we need to do a better job of working together as a team to make sure that we are putting eyes on these patients at every 30-minute check or 15-minute check if necessary. That's our number one job as a BHT, is to observe the patients, and then building off of that, we are going to do the observation and then building the rapport and communicating and stuff like that. But we're starting from scratch here, and it is unacceptable at any time to not have a zone sheet filled out fully when you are leaving. Now, do me a favor, and when you get your zone sheets, please write your name on the top right above the date so that we know. And if you are to be changing shifts, if someone's leaving, something like that, put the times next to it, and the next person taking that board, put their name and the times next to it. That'll ensure and show to us who is doing each shift at each board at which time, so we know that your round sheets are being filled out. Don't find it weird if a shift lead or a director comes up to you and says, "Can I see your board?" Because we need to make sure that these rounds are getting done, and that's going to be looked at closely from here going forward. That is the end of this training. But if you have any questions, please see your shift lead, your directors, or if you'd like to email me, ask your shift lead. They'll get in touch with me, and we can talk ourselves if you want. But remember, chain of command is important. So go through the proper channels first.